Hey guys, Tommy Carrigan with Tommy Untamed. We've got a great show coming up. Thank you for watching. With Mr. Clay Carrigan, as I was just telling you, and how if people want to know how the sausage is made, so many of my guests, I just look back and it's just an email here, an email there, and just it really is Pong, or it's like a game of like mini golf, and it's just bouncing around, and then eventually it falls in, and that's how I get. And honestly, that's how I've had some of the best guests. So, not that that's relevant to anything we're talking about, but it's just I don't know, one of the patterns I've observed in 5.5 years, almost 1,800 episodes, is just how random things come in and click in a place. But yeah, man, I'm happy to have you on. I'm glad we finally got to talk. And real quick for everybody, introduce yourself, and then we'll just wing it.
Yeah, well, basically, my name's Clay Clark, and for anybody out there that doesn't know, or kind of say, who is this guy? Why is he relevant? Basically, I grew up poor. I think a lot of people watching today's show, you grow up poor. So we'd argue about how poor we grew up, but I wanted to get unpoor. And so I worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And I started a company called DJConnection.com out of my parents' basement in Minnesota. DJConnection.com. I grew it into be one of America's largest entertainment companies. That was DJConnection.com. And then over time, people kept asking me, could you teach me how to grow my business, or could you help me how to grow my business? And I kept saying no while growing other companies. So I started a party rental company as well and grew it. And I started a photography company and grew it. And those companies, one was called Party Perfect. The photography company was called epicphotos.com. Anyway, if you do these things, if you wake up at 3 a.m. every day and you work 6 days a week every day and you follow a system every day for, let's say, a decade, next thing you know, I look up, I'm 27 years old. I was the SBA, Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year. We've got hundreds of contractors and employees delivering great products and services. And people said, "Could you help me? Can I pick your brain?" And so I started a podcast, started speaking at events. And now if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you can see that Eric Trump and we'd host business conferences together. Robert Kiyosaki's participated. Now it's kind of a bigger thing. But how did we get there? We started by getting up at 3 a.m., working till 6 days a week, and working at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV.
You have come into my life at a perfect time. It's for everybody that watches my show knows, so I won't go over the whole story because everybody's heard it 100 trillion times. I'm 34 right now. I got into medical school out of college. I worked nonstop. Very proud. Still probably my proudest achievement to be accepted to medical school. I decided I didn't want to go. That was right after I graduated, so like January 2014. A couple months later, lost my older brother to suicide. Really just destroyed me, as I think it would most people, for like 10 years. Moved home with my parents, and I started this podcast in 2019, actually above their garage while working at a liquor store. And I've kind of just done it nonstop. And it's, I've been banned from YouTube and iTunes for interviewing, huge doctors during COVID and blah, blah, blah. Everybody works hard. And I'm with you. I really do. It's to me, it's the Calvin Coolidge quote about above all else, persistence is what always solves and always will solve humanity's woes. Is not genius, it's not luck, it's nothing really. And I legitimately believe that it's I'm not the most naturally bright guy, but I got into med school. How? Like you said, you 6 days a week, stick to the system, put it in every day. You're not always going to hit the lotto. Some days you're going to barely hit baseline. But that's kind of been the history of this show. This is episode 1760, and it's maneuvered through multiple different sponsors and platforms, and YouTube to Rumble to Spotify to blah blah blah. And I have always found it does work, quote unquote. I'm single, I have no kids, I have no pets, I have no debts. It works because of that. That's my overhead. What about your employees? I'm my employee, I'm the scheduler, I'm the graphic artist, I'm the PR guy, I'm everything. But I've only been at it for about 5 years, so to not go off and listen to the sound of my own voice. When I first started, I thought it would take 5 years for it to kind of work, and I guess again, technically, it is working. The bills are paid, but more and more, I've been kind of readjusting that timeline in my mind And for it to work comfortably to where every month isn't a panic attack about where's the next month of revenue going to come from, I feel like it's closer to a decade. You have a lot more experience with this. This is my first. I would like to think I'll have multiple companies. This is my first, so it's kind of like my first love. It's like your first high school love. It's very weird and emotional, and it's irrational. But for you, you're the wise man on top of the mountain. What would you say to me, somebody 5 years into my first business, where it's working, but it's terrifying?
Well, I would say this: the path to entrepreneurship. There's four steps to building a successful company. Just four steps, and there's a lot of details underneath that, but four main points, and everybody out there should know these things. And by the way, everybody can do it. And what I'm telling you, I have thousands of case studies of real humans on video, real clients on video, telling you it's worked. From and you can case studies of real people that have done this, and you can see those at thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com. So, one, you got to find a problem. So the problem as it relates to a podcast would be people are looking for something to listen to, maybe. People are bored. People are interested in a topic, whatever. So the problem. What's the problem? I have a haircut chain, by the way, and in the haircut chain, what's the problem? People, their hair grows. I have I'm involved in a home remodeling company. Well, what's the problem? People want to remodel their house, they don't know how. I've got some wonderful teammates and employees I'm paying today to build a water fountain for me. Well, what's the problem? The problem is that there's not a fountain. I want there to be a fountain, and I wanted to pay someone to do it. So what's the problem? Step number two is you have to solve the problem. The people that are out there building the fountain right now are building the fountain because they can solve the problem. They might not know they can solve the problem, but I know they can. And so they're getting paid not to hang out, but they're getting paid to solve the problem. So step one, find a problem. Step two, solve the problem. Step number three, you got to sell something. The employees out there are not volunteers. They are being paid by the hour to do the work. I do follow up with them about every half hour to make sure the water fountain's getting done. But if you're not selling something, if money's not being exchanged at some point, it is a hobby.
Uh-huh.
It is a passion project. It is a pastime, but it is not a business. And so a lot of people get that confused. So last night, one of my son's good friends, he says, Mr. Clark, do you want to compete in pool basketball with us? We're going 3-on-3. I said, oh yeah, let's do it. So I hopped in the pool and played 3-on-3 basketball with the guys last night. That is not a for-profit thing. I'm better at it than most. I'm not the best. I had fun, but it's not a business. It is a hobby. It is a passion. I write songs, put out a lot of songs. Many of those songs have gone viral over the years. That is not a business. I have a unique interest in chickens and goats. That is not a business. So find a problem, solve a problem. Step number three, sell the solution. And step number four, nail it and scale it. So once you nail it, you got to scale it. So just before we hopped on today's show, I was having a conversation with an accounting firm, and I don't dislike all accounting firms. I'm just telling you the story I had. And I'm having a discussion today, this morning, with this accounting firm, and I'm trying to explain to them simplicity scales, complexity fails. And I'm having a mentor moment with this accounting practice. And they go, what? I said, simplicity scales, complexity fails. Who said that? Steve Jobs. Brevity is the soul of wit. Who said that? William Shakespeare. Brevity is the soul of wit. What I am saying is that the accounting that this accounting firm was proposing was so complex that my wonderful client could not determine what was going on. And so I asked my client, Mr. Client, how much money do you have in your bank account? And they go, I don't know. What are your expenses? I don't know. What is your income? I don't know. I'm going, well, that's a problem. And my client says, what do you mean it's a problem? I said, well, it's not the end of the world, but it's a problem. The problem is you don't know how much money you have. You don't know how much money you're spending, and you don't know how much money's coming in. And they go, well, my accountant handles that. I'm like, well, apparently not well enough or something, because you don't know you don't know the income and expenses and the total money you have. Everyone needs to know that. You got to have a balance sheet. You got to know. And so we get on the phone with the accounting firm. And Tommy, what we found was that the accounting firm was sending graphs and pie charts and complicated jackassery, and my client couldn't tell what was going on. And so I'm just telling you that fourth step, nail it and scale it, is really about simplifying. Another example, Tommy, I talked to a lady today, God bless her. Be kind of vague. It's one of my clients I work with. It's one of their employees. And she is over complicating the idea of updating the homepage on their website. I mean, she has got graphs, charts, missions, visions, theories. And at the end of the day, none of that matters if you don't build the website. She's been trying to update this website for 90 days. Could you imagine what it would be like to be inside the mind of a person who's taken 90 days to update one page on a website? I mean, dear God, in the event they gain traction, what if they had to do 9 pages of the website? I mean, at this rate, we'll never get it done. I think, biblically speaking, the Antichrist may emerge before they finish the website. So again, I'm all about simplicity scales and complexity fails.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, for me, I mean, I had on Dr. McCullough and Dr. Malone both about
Mm,
6 months before they went on Rogan. I got banned from
yeah,
YouTube. 6 months
sweet.
later, they got on Rogan, and the White House was like, Joe Rogan's a miss. I'm like, attack me. I need the popularity. I need the so that hurt a lot. But to me, that was kind of one of the early problems. People wanted to know what was going on. You couldn't find an answer anywhere. If you asked an answer, you got banned from every social media. So early
Right.
on, not only did I feel it was objectively the right thing to do in terms of, and legally in terms of Nuremberg, but I also felt it was, well, there's something I can offer. I have the ability to reach out and find these people, which by the way isn't hard. You put their name in Google and then follow it with contact information, and you can get them on. Scaling it is that's been another reason for simplicity. I've been going to the gym every day, 25
Uh,
years.
this guy's jacked.
I've been doing it every day for 25 years, and I never go for more than 15 minutes. And it's what you said is scale. I keep it very simple. There's no excuse when I wake up of I gotta go do an hour in the gym. I wake up, I have my sneakers, I have the shirt, I have the shorts. Everything is at the end of my bed when I wake. So I can't even go, well, I don't know where my clothes are. Let's get up, put the clothes on, go to the gym before I can decide I don't want to. That is the simplicity scales. Turning it from problem, people couldn't get the information. Solution, I get the information. I also have a zillion interests from Cold War authors to Delta Force to sci-fi authors to Space Force advisors and everything in between. So I'm like, people do like, I had on a guy talking about stagecoach robbery. He wrote a whole book about the history of stagecoach robbery. It was incredible. But so okay, there we go. I can do it. I know I can work hard. I know I can put it out 5 days a week, and people know that there's always a show coming out. It has been very difficult to pivot it from hobby to profitability, and because I also feel very, I mean, if you want to be profitable, you can throw it behind a paywall, you can do all that stuff, but I've had a very difficult time sort of being honest with myself and being genuine about, am I selling snake oil or am I selling
Right.
something worth it? And that's kind
Well,
of, yeah.
well, I'll say
Yeah.
this, and for anybody out there that goes to my website, you go to thrivetimeshow.com. I only have three things that I ever promote, ever, for the same reason that you. So the same conflicted I concept that you have in your mind. So the idea, this idea, someone says, well, how do I fill myself with confidence? One of my mentors back in the day, who by the way was the one of the largest, most successful ministries in America before he renounced his faith and became essentially like an atheist. But his name was Carlton Pearson. His life was made into a Netflix documentary. It's a fascinating documentary. I pray for his soul. May he rest in peace. But Carlton he looked right in the face and he says, Clay, if you want to be filled with confidence, let me tell you how. Because I was hiring him to teach me. He was my speech coach. I mean, this is the guy who was like one of the top speakers in America by ratings. I mean, we're talking like in the 2000s. This guy was like the hottest. It was like Stephen Furtick today, or maybe pre Diddy, TD Jakes, whatever that was. Just you get the idea. This is like mega church, mega church. This is the founder of the concept of the mega church. Okay, unbelievably massive traditional black church, phenomenal. And Carlton says to me, he says, Clay, you're going to be filled with confidence. You have to confide in yourself that during this instance, you are doing what God wants you to do. Think about it. He
Yeah.
said, if you want confidence, you have to confide in yourself that during this instance, you're doing what God wants you to do. So for people if they go to thrivetimeshow.com, what I do is I have business consulting that I do. So how do I make money? I charge people $1,700 a month, Tommy, or whatever they can afford, which is a mind-rocking idea to people. They go, you let people name their price? So $1,700 or whatever price they can afford, and then I get a small percentage of the growth. And so when I say I helped full package media go from a startup to a $3 million company, that's true. When I say I've helped OxyFresh open up 500 locations, could you imagine being a carpet cleaner and then opening up 500 locations?
No.
I can go on and on giving you examples. When I say I've helped Papa Gallo's Pizza in Satellite Beach, Florida, increase their revenue by 8 times. These are all facts. These are all examples. I'm clearly citing the websites. I'm putting it out there. You can see them at thrivetimeshow.com. I tell people at $1,700 a month or whatever you can afford. I mean, so I have no dissonance at all internal about that. The second thing is, I do conferences, and people say, "Well, what do you charge for that, dude?" And I go, "It's $250 or," and they go, "Or whatever I can pay." Exactly, or whatever you can pay. And they go, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Well, because I grew up poor. I get what it's like." And I think everybody deserves an opportunity. So it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And it's maddening to accountants, it's maddening to family members of mine who like to chime in with advice. They go, "You're a 44-year-old man. When are you going to give up on that idea of letting people name their price? You whack job, you nut job." About every 6 weeks, some advisor reaches out to me, excuse me, via email or phone. "I'd like to talk to you." I'm what they call an income optimizer. And I have found that if you would just simply set a floor for your conferences and charge more for the premium, so that's how I do my conferences. And then the third is I buy gold and hold. My super complicated strategy for wealth building is I literally buy gold and I hold. Someone says, "Well, what do you do?" This is a razor. I bought it. I'm turning it on. I'm holding it. I'm moving my chin. I don't even do that much for gold. I just buy and I hold. I don't have to do my chin. I don't move it around in different accounts. I don't watch the up and down of the market. I don't go, "Oh, I wonder what BRICS is doing." I don't do any of that. I just know that the dollar is going to collapse over time.
Mm-hmm.
Collapse of the dollar, it's going to happen. It's called inflation, hyperinflation. It's going to happen. So I just buy gold and hold. And so that is the entirety of my entire portfolio of things that I push. And I might have doctors on my show.
Sure.
Just yesterday, I had a doctor on my show that was really trying to push me to do a promo code. And I just go, I mean, if people want to use promo code Clay to buy the thing, it's cool. But I'm going to tell my listeners, I don't use the thing.
Yeah.
I don't use, it's too complex. I can't wake up every day thinking about these 18 supplements to take
Yeah.
and these 42 multivitamins. I can't pretend like that's me. I've got a simple life. So I can't pitch that thing. But I just have three things I pitch.
I you'd be happy to know that was the extent of my financial in 2021. I finally started making more than I needed for the show, and I have a biology degree. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. I read A Creature from Jekyll Island, and I went,
Yeah.
"Oh, it seems like gold keeps its value." Yeah, that's I got gold. I got some in my safe, and I got some in the lockbox. I figure they won't be able to rob me and Bank of America. But that's no, that's that's my extent too. Because I'm just looking at it, I'm like, dude, I don't doubt you can. I mean, objectively, you can make a lot of money in the stock market. I know nothing about it, and the same hesitance I have looking at a casino, I have that same feeling looking at graphs. I go, yeah, I don't. There are people a lot smarter and a
Right.
lot more sinister who have no qualms robbing you blind.
When I talk to a banker, this is a true story. As you start having success, by the way, and by the way, success is just the opposite of what every self-help course tells you. Every self-help course I've ever, literally every self-help course I've ever been to or listened to, except for maybe 1% of them, and I've gone to a lot of seminars. They always say, "Well, insanity is doing the same thing every day.
You're
Expect
expecting
a
something
different result.
different.
You expect a different result because that's insanity is where you do the same thing." And everyone kind of mangles it a little bit. Then they have
That's
a
also what
quote.
Thomas Edison did until he made the light bulb. I don't think he was insane, right?
Exactly. And then they have a little stat they make up. 99% of people before they're stuck, they said insanity was the problem because that's what you're doing the same thing. And I'm like, hey, Starbucks does the same thing every day and they expect a different result. It's called scaling. Quick Trip gas stations does the same thing every day. They expect a different result. It's called opening multiple locations. I do the same thing every day. So you want to, I mean, linebackers in the NFL do the same thing every day. They follow a workout, a routine, a process. Again, so people idea hop, and it's sold like it's a good idea. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm living with my parents and eating their cereal. No, so a serial entrepreneur, you're jumping from new idea to new idea. Oh, there's a new idea. Hey, crypto. Oh, no, medical. That's what I'm doing. No, I'm opening up my own multi-level. I'm going to sell some insurance. I'm selling iniquity. I'm selling, and there's people will say these words to me. They'll say, "Clay, I'm selling iniquities." I go, "You're selling sin?" No, no, equities. See, that's what I'm selling. I'm locked in. I'm equities. Okay, you're selling equities, not in equity. What? I mean, I hear these things. I sell life change, 360-degree life changes. That's what I do. I sell 360-degree changes.
Full
People,
circle.
right? The full circle. And I hear this jackassery. I say, find a problem,
Yeah.
solve it, sell the solution, nail it, and scale it. So I'm talking to a guy. He says to me, Clay, if you ever need something, man, you DJ the heck out of my party, man. This my corporate party was phenomenal. Thank you. I said, no problem. Another guy says to me, Clay, thank you so much. It's the best ever. If I can ever do something for you, thank you. Now, this is the guy who's running Quick Trip gas stations, okay? This is the guy who owns his own bank. These are the guy who runs Hobby Lobby. These are the guy who ran Boeing at the time. And these people, because we are the entertainer of choice, we've been doing the same thing for years. We were doing 4,000 events a year, by the way. So we're doing 4,000 events a year. I'm personally doing like 150 a year. And these CEOs say to me, hey, if you ever need something, let me know. And I'm going, yeah, I'd love to shadow you. So I'm shadowing these homeboys and homegirls,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So I'm shadowing. And one of the guys I'm shadowing, he owns a bank. And I said, bro, you own a bank. At the time, he's like 50. And I guess at the time, he's like 40, and I'm 25. It's 2005 ish. And I said, what do you do with your money? Come on. And he goes, what do I do with my money? I go, yes. It's all pre the surveillance state. But he's like, why don't you meet me at a country club and we'll talk about it? So we
You
go to
should
the
go
country club.
golfing. Leave your phone behind.
Bro, Tommy, I remember like it was yesterday. So the wind is blowing. I don't golf, but it's too windy to whack a golf ball. The umbrella's out there. Nobody's around. Just he and I were sitting out there. The people come up to you, sir. Do you want a croissant? Do you want a bagel? Do you want do you want to go to the buffet? Do you want to seat inside? I'm like, I don't want to. I just want to talk to the guy who owns the bank and ask him how, you know. So I'm like, so, what do you do with them? Yeah, it's kind of how I was. Like, where do you put the bag? You put the brown bag? Do you put it?
You wearing a wire?
You wearing a wire? Do you know a guy? Where do you put the brown? So the guy, but to further validate this crazy energy, he says to me, Clay, I take a quarter of my wealth and I buy gold and silver. And I go, woo, really? He goes, yeah. I said, but you own a bank. He's like, that's why I do it. Because see, a bank, there's a thing called a Federal Reserve, and it's not federal, and there is no reserve.
Yeah,
And then
he knows it's not there.
I borrow money from the Federal Reserve, which isn't federal. There is no reserve, and then I lend money that I don't have to people who can't afford it, and they pay me interest. And then I take the interest they pay me, and I pay the Federal Reserve, which isn't federal. There is no reserve. It's a great big Ponzi scheme, and eventually it will blow up. And I'm like, it's just like meeting with Yoda, meeting with
Yeah.
business guru. I'm going, oh, snap. So I said, so what do you do with the gold? He said, I buy gold, I hold. This is 2005. I go, what else do you do with the rest of your money? He goes, I buy real estate from emotional people. I said, emotional people? What kind of people are emotional? What do you mean? He goes, like if there's a lady who's like, on the front lawn, peacefully on the lawn, and she's burning clothes, that's somebody who's probably getting a divorce. That's a good source. If you see a man with like a brick to get thrown at his car, windshield cracked, that's a divorce. That's a good source. If you see a divorce attorney, that's a good guy to talk to. If you got a divorce action, somebody who has a nice house in a nice neighborhood with tall grass, tall enough where monkeys are starting to
Yeah.
congregate and the anaconda begins to fill at home. That kind of energy, man. Anytime you see a nice house that is beginning to be run down, routine maintenance is deferred, you want to look for that, and you can typically buy wealth. So take a quarter of your wealth, buy real estate from emotional people, take a quarter of your wealth and buy gold and hold. And I go, what else? He says, we're always going to have a new business plan. And at the time, I'd been doing the same thing for like 10 years. I'm thinking, I'll never have another plan. I'm building DJconnection.com. How could I possibly ever have another idea? This is my golden baby. This is my golden baby. Whatever that even means. Is that even a good thing? A golden baby? I don't know. This is my thing. And he's saying, no, you'll have another idea. And so I did it. Well, from the time I started buying gold, it was $400 an ounce.
Oof.
I started buying gold, and now it's $3,400 an ounce, and I just keep doing it. So that would be the extent of my financial strategy that I endorse.
Yeah. Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food. 72 servings per pail, 25 years shelf life. I've had the owner Clayton on the show before. He's a God-fearing, America-loving patriot. Get one of these, get a couple of them, throw them in your basement. It's good to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. If you don't want to do that, you can get their seeds. You can plant your own garden, so you don't even have to keep buying them. You can just get the goods and start your own, or you can even get freeze-dried fruits and vegetables like bananas, apples, strawberries, and raspberries. They support the show. It's an honest product. It's a good safety measure to have, and they keep my show free for you. So I'd implore you guys to please go to heavensharvest.com, use the link in the description, promo code TPC. Axios Fitness Coaching is a premium resource for holistic strength and conditioning services. Axios is best known for the Training Club, capital T, capital C, an exclusive community that prioritizes accountability, technique, diet, and nutrition. Everything you need to do to take action against the decay of the modern world. Whether you're looking to improve your physique, build strength, or just take care of your health and fitness, Axios will provide you with a solution that is effective and simple to execute. All you need to do is complete the intake survey, and you can see if you're a good candidate for the training club or any other of the services. And it's going to sponsor the show. So, one company falls off, another one arises. So if you guys like the show, you want to work out, throw the show a couple shekels. Go take the survey. Thank you so much, guys.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a Blue Room soon. www.blueroom.com.
Another reason I look at it that way is because, from working out every day, I know that the only way to actually get long-term gains and not, destroy your heart or destroy your hormone levels is very boring. It's not no pain, no gain. That's a lie. It has to hurt. You should be in pain if you're at the gym. You should be eating things that don't taste that great. And if you're doing that, then you're doing it right. And that's how you build muscle, because there's no sexy shortcut. I kind of look at gold the same way. I kind of look at, Tommy, how do you get so many guests on the podcast? Just keep doing shows. There is no shortcut. There's no conference. Shortcut. There's no, but I want 10x. You don't just put it in there. Take that, put that in a lockbox, and go live your life.
Tommy, there's a guy at the gym that I go to in the mornings. It's a true story. This guy does pull-ups where he does a pull-up, and then he somehow is so good at the pull-up, he begins to push down because he goes above.
Yeah, he does the bar. I can't do that. Those people are insane. He goes above
so he pulls
up, and
then he goes down. Now he extends his legs up, so he's this way, but all of a sudden his legs are going. Mm-hmm. And I picture it in my mind. It doesn't sound like this, but this is how I picture it in my mind. It's like it's like a machine. Mm-hmm. It's like hydraulic. When it's like engage, and then and it's just like, it's unbelievable. And I'm going, wow. And he does this, and I've only had a little mild interaction with the guy. I try to not talk to dudes when they're working out. I try to just let you do their thing. But the interactions I've had is I'm like, this guy, he's always sweaty before 4:30 in the morning. This guy is sweaty at 4:30 in the morning. And he doesn't really talk to people. He's not a big, he's not putting chalk on his hands and going, ooh, he's not putting on a show. He's just doing it. And I don't think he has a lot of variety. I think certain dietitians or workout gurus would say, you're overworking yourself. You're doing the same thing too much. But I think I've only seen him do what appears to be maybe 3 different workout routines. He's got the legs thing going on and the abs. Then he's got the upper body pull-up thing going on. And he's got a day where he's just crushing triceps and biceps. And I'm just going, this guy's he's been clearly doing it for a long time. And I say these things because there are so many people that want to have massive success. And what we teach at our workshops, and again, thrivetimeshow.com, people are always shocked by the simplicity of the systems that I teach. What I do is I try to create goal alignment with my clients. So I'm saying, hey, you, Mr. Pizza, Mr. Papagallos. Hey, you, Mr. Dentist, MLKdentistry.com. Hey, you, Mr. Carpet Cleaning, OxyFresh.com. I'm mentioning real clients. And then I say, listen, just pay me a small percentage of the growth, and I will take you to the promised land. They go, what's a percentage? I go, all right, how about 2.5%? They go, that's too high. That's 2%. That's 2%. Okay, okay. This is how it goes. I'm not a negotiator. I just want a small percentage, so it's a win-win, which leads me to my next point. You got to have a win-win. It has to be a win-win. If I feel like I'm pulling you to the finish line and you hate me and I hate you, that's not a win-win. My wife and I, we've been married 24 years. We have 5 kids. And here's the win-win we have here. I leave her alone during the day, man. Bro, listen. What guys watching this? This is what a helicopter sounds like. Get in the chopper. Get in the chopper. Get in the chopper. I'm not in the helicopter. I see so many men, God bless you, they're calling their wife every 5 minutes. Hey, babe, what are you doing? And then she's, well, I'm doing fine. I'm just here at work. And what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you wearing? Where are you going? Where'd you go? What'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do? Where are you going? Are you doing this? I'm not giving her minute by minute micromanagement self-help tips. I'm not, right? And then my wife, to her credit, we got 5 kids. She doesn't call me and say, so are you working? Are you working hard? Are you focused? Are you doing your job? Are you focused? Are you working? She has her lane, which is she raises the kids during the day, and she does a phenomenal job doing it. I have my lane, which is I grow companies, and I leave her alone. And then when I come home, which I did last night, every night, by the way, the key to not getting in trouble by going out with the wrong person is don't go out unless you're with your spouse. So when I get home, it's like we're excited to see each other like we're dating. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, let's go to the store, and then let's take your aunt who's visiting from out of town. Let's take her on a little Tulsa tour. But because I don't wear her out with constant micromanagement, it doesn't create this weird tension. And I'm sharing this because I see so many people have these jacked up marriages and jacked up businesses where they're going to a therapist who's giving them a 48-step plan. They're going to a business consultant that's giving them 113 things you want to remember. And there's all these different, they're trying to there's 12 steps to stop anxiety, 18 ways to lose weight, 14 ways to make your marriage great. And everything's just jacked. You got simplicity scales, complexity fails.
The people I've had on from 4-star generals to Roseanne Barr to doctors to Apollo astronauts and people like even to today. Well, what's my preparation for each show? 8 hours of sleep, 15 minutes in the gym, put on a clean shirt, brush your teeth, even though it's not in person, brush your teeth, put on deodorant, sit in that chair, I meditate for 20-25 minutes, and towards the end of it, I wrap it up in a prayer. And I make sure I show up. My phone's on airplane mode, not playing with the phone. Got my water, so I don't have to be leaving and going to get water. Have some caffeine in me, so I'm going. And that's it. That's what you do for the show.
It's interesting, again, the simplicity of what you're saying. And I'm going to tell people what not to do. I'm going to help somebody out there because I've never wanted to become a podcast coach. But I've got right now in my portfolio, there are 6 podcasts that I coach and manage that have over 200,000 subscribers. So there's 6, but I only have 160 clients. So I don't really have a lot of client turnover. So I'm going to give somebody out there advice on this. It's so important. Okay. If you're making a podcast, these are non-negotiables and you want to make a little checklist if you can. Your thumbnail could always be hotter. Who I say who? You. My thumbnails can be hotter. Every thumbnail could always be hotter. So I'm going to give you a little, I tell my clients this, to make the client, to make the potential listener bother, make your thumbnails hotter. It's just that eye candy. If you can just make your thumbnails hot, I have seen clients I've worked with who've doubled their subscribers and doubled their views just by making the thumbnail hotter. So who am I preaching to? Myself. I could always make my thumbnail hotter. Everyone could do it. Step number 2, make your title more clicky, more sticky, more pithy, because again, you already did the show. I already did the show. And it's like, if the title's just a little bit more, I got to click that thing. That works. All right. So, people call it clickbait. I don't call it clickbait if you're delivering a good thing, but you want to make it where people actually want to click it. So you get the thumbnail. Okay. You get the title, and then the show, like how you're doing the show, how you're doing a show where you're sincerely interested. People will find you to be interesting if you are interested. So I hope that people listen to the show. I hope it resonates with them. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. That I actually give a crap about helping people get not poor. And that's what I do. I don't fix cars. I don't give pro tips on how to whack a golf ball. I don't give fitness tips. But what I do is I grow companies. And so you have to really, for people to be interested in you, you have to come across as though you're interested in them, which we sincerely are. And that's what you do. And then to your point, you mentioned it earlier. You're doing a show every day. Consistency. Consistency. People know if they subscribe to my podcast on thrivetimeshow.com, they know they're going to get more podcasts than what they want. People go, this guy, I clicked that subscribe and there's too much coming in. It's like a buffet. This guy, he's sick. Now, if you listen to like a Joe Rogan, it might be like one a day or one every, but there's a rhythm to it. My buddy who has the EO Fire podcast, it's one a day. For me, it's like a fire hose of things that I believe that you need to know. So, as an example, going back to COVID talk, everybody needs to know that the PCR tests could be manipulated to falsely diagnose someone as positive. I feel like everyone needed to know that because I'm like, listen, if the PCR tests produce false results, then the whole pandemic is a scamdemic. Okay, there we go. Summary, here's Kerry Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test, the polymerase chain reaction test, talking about it. Okay, here we go. And every show is about that. I'm just getting, like you mentioned, McCullough, any expert, Zelenko, may he rest in peace, Rashid Buttar, may he rest in peace. Just the PCR tests are false. Come on. And it's just too much. And then there was the time before that where the models are false. I'm like, if the models that said 2.2 million people would die from COVID are wrong, and Neil Ferguson made them, whether it's intentional or unintentional, good news, pandemic over. If the models are false, if the models that said 2.2 million people would die from COVID are false by 25 times, and they are, good news, pandemic's over. Woo, woo. And I kept saying that. And my wife and people that care about me are like, you've done 6 shows today about the same thing. I'm like, yeah, but I need to do another one because people so it's the consistency. It's the consistency. People need to know if they're subscribing to the Tommy podcast, what you're going to do. They need to know if they're going to subscribe to my podcast, what I'm going to do. There's got to be a consistency. And in my final note for podcasters out there who are aspiring, don't pitch a product that you wouldn't use. Come on. People that know me, they know I'm not going to wear designer socks.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's people that are classy and there's people that are assy. I'm assy. Okay. I'm a man bear pig. I don't do the whole classy thing. So if I'm ever doing a commercial where I'm like, and that's why I have my hand tailored socks, this guy's a corporate sellout.
Yeah.
So you got to sell a product that's aligned with your values that actually is a product you would use.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to say, and I know I got to let you go in a couple of minutes. I'd love to keep talking. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. What you said about the confidence because you're doing right in God's eyes or doing right by God, that's where a lot of it came from is like, I was like, I know that something is wrong. If we're giving a shot that's giving babies heart attack tissue that's only seen in 70-year-old men, this is objectively wrong, and you have to do these shows. And I even had on Dr. Ken Alabek, who is the head of the Soviet Union bioweapon program, smuggled to the United States by the CIA in 1993, and hadn't done an interview since then. I had him on with Dr. McCullough, and him saying, for sure, this is a bioweapon. And I'm like, I think I did good by God by putting that out there. Now, I might be shot in the face soon, and that's what it is, but to do right by God. And another thing is, whenever I find a podcast I really like or a video game I love, there is nothing worse than when it ends. And early on, in the podcast, I was like, I want to do so many episodes that you can never finish it. Because to me, those are the things I enjoy the most. When I go back and I've been listening to like Tim Dillon, the comedian, for years. Still finding shows I'd never heard before. It's just the best. It's finding $20 in your pocket. I'm like, there's another one. And it's like a whole new section of lore. And that's what I want to be, is I want people to never be able to listen to all of it.
There's a podcast called the And the Writer Is podcast. And the Writer Is, the host of the show is Ross Golan. And I've interviewed Ross on my show. And Ross interviews John Bellion. He interviews Ryan Tedder. He interviews top songwriters about how they write songs. And because I write songs, and by the way, if anybody wants to listen to my songs, usually about one song a year that goes viral, which means that about 20 of them don't. But if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, I have a little drop-down menu called Lyrical Miracles. And I usually average one new song every 3 weeks. And usually they don't take off. And people will call me and go, Dude,
Pack it
that
in.
song you did about the white mamba, Scalabrini for the Celtics, that's hilarious. Why did you do that? And go, well, I think it's hilarious. Or they'll go, dude, that song you did about 9 executive desks in a small freaking office, that's incredible. 9 executive desks in a small freaking. I said, yeah, that's the thing. And then some people will say, that song you did about 2 Timothy chapter 4, that made sense to me. But I do it because, to your point, I really am interested in so many things that I keep following that interest. Well, Ross has gone down the rabbit trail, every rabbit trail. He gets into what mics to use, what equipment to use, how you sit with a blank sheet of paper and make a song. Like, where does the initial melody come from? How do you write lyrics? How do you write a chorus? How does a song get on the radio? How does a top 40 artist work? Who's in the room when they write a song? And I'm just infinitely curious about that subject. And even though most people wouldn't know that about me, by default, I really am interested in how songwriting. I love the whole thing. So if you go to YouTube and you look for "And the Writer Is" podcast, it's not the most popular podcast. Let me look it up real quick here so I can give an accurate.
Sure.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going "And the Writer Is" podcast. This is on "And the Writer Is." It's on YouTube. And yeah, okay. So let me see here. He has 13.8 thousand subscribers, but he'll interview the songwriter for Justin Bieber. He has 13.8 thousand subscribers, but he'll interview like Beyonce's songwriter. You say, I don't like Beyonce. I don't like Bieber. Okay, fine. He has 13.8 thousand subscribers, but he's interviewing One Republic. You say, I don't like One Republic. Basically, anybody who's in the top 40 of music by default, almost always they're performers. They're not songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
Usually a performer. They're not. They call him an artist. But the guy who writes the song, you almost never know who they are. And that's what he does, is he focuses on interviewing the songwriter. And this dude, I'm telling you, every time I have a road trip, bro, every time I'm going, oh, I got to listen to the And the Writer Is podcast. I have to do it. And there's always a new one. It's like to your point, it's just a treasure trove of hotness. And he's talking about like the best unidirectional mic to be used in a studio and the best preamp for like an hour. And I'm going, oh, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. This show is hot. My kids are like, Dad, what are you listening to? I'm like, shh. Ross Golan and his 13,800 subscribers are listening right now. We're listening to an esoteric topic that I'm interested in called preamps. Okay, we're gonna get into that, and maybe if we have time, if we all drive in silence, maybe you can learn about how to write a pre-chorus. Okay, maybe we can learn about the pop song that has the most dynamic range in the history of music. If you guys will shh,
if you open your mind.
But he's always putting out new music, new podcasts about how new songs are written. And to your point, I love just that infinite, vast knowing that this homeboy's putting out thousands of, or in this case, hundreds of shows, but they're rich.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I was going to say, lastly, is the not pitching something that you won't use. That I think that's I do think, sometimes I think it would be a lot easier to just be a psychopath and not care about any of this. But like, I really can't pitch something that I would pitch a thermos, and I don't know, and this microphone, like I don't, and I guess when I can't lie through my teeth to tell people that they have to use this iPhone charger, and it destroys the one like real current. My gold, the thing I don't want to give up, is the honesty I have with it. They know that for better or worse, I'm not going to pitch them bullshit, and that I'm not going to censor anybody, no matter whether it's about COVID vaccines or if there are lizards at the center of the earth, whatever. They know that I'll give them a fair hearing. I'm not going to backstab them. I'm not going to do ambush journalism. And I feel like that, above all else, is the most valuable thing I have. And yeah, man, I mean, that's kind of the difficulty right now, is keep it good, keep it simple, keep putting out shows, make them good shows, make it grow. The hard part is the alchemical dance. How do you then take that thing you love doing, the thing you do consistently, the thing you do with simplicity, and then how do you, wring it out and get a couple bucks to pay rent? So that's kind of, I'm at that like final. I feel like it's the end of the Manhattan Project. We got the lensing, we got the enriched plutonium, we using silver to galvanize electricity, doing all of this, and you're just looking at it and you're like, it's so close. It's
Well,
so close.
my invitation to you, sincerely to you, and then to anybody watching is if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll probably meet Tim Tebow, or you'll meet Eric Trump, or you'll meet different people we have as guest speakers. But you'll end up coming to my living room at some point, because I have a dinner at my home in my living room. We have a lunch in my living room, but we have a conference center that I built. It kind of feels like a dive bar. That's where I'm at right now. And there's about 350 seats available. So we never fill the room with thousands of people. There's no bouncing beach balls and theoretical. We get really practical. And I think sometimes taking 2 days out of our busy lives to work on ourselves and to really think about what are my goals for my faith, my family, my finance, fitness, friendship, fun. It really is life changing for people. And I'll just underscore this idea. We had one guy who came to our conference. He's been a client of mine forever. And he came to our conference, and one of our guest speakers was Sean Baker, the inventor of the carnivore diet. And at the time, my client was like 320 pounds ish. And I saw him get up and talk to the carnivore man. I wasn't involved in the conversation. I don't know what was said. I wasn't there. Then my client texts me and he says, "Hey, I've lost 80 pounds since the last conference." I go, "What?" I go, "We do conferences 4 times a year. How did you lose 80 pounds in
90 days.
in 90 days?" He goes, "Well, no, I mean, I didn't go to your last one. So it's been 6 months for me." But I go, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I go to the gym every day for a half hour and I only eat meat." And I'm going, "Wow." And he goes, "Dude, that conference changed my life." But at the same conference, I have a pastor who's in my life, who's a good guy, who his church has over tripled in size simply by implementing what he learned at the conference. And I just think that it's really important to take a time out and to work on your business, not just in it. And so I would encourage everybody, go to thrivetimeshow.com and you can click and see the next one we have coming up is September 25th and 26th. It'll be featuring Eric Trump and a lot of people that people would know. And then you're stuck with me for the vast majority of the itinerary. It's a blasty blast. And we teach branding, marketing, sales, finance, social media, accounting, legal, management, all of those aspects of how to grow a company. We teach it all: monetization, hiring, firing, inspiring, training, retaining, all of that. I mean, everything you need to know right there at thrivetimeshow.com.
Beautiful. I'll put that in the description. We'll wrap it up because I don't have to let you go.